So recently on Instagram, I promised you guys that I would make a video after not posting in 6 centuries. And I asked you guys on a poll, which car would you like me to make a video on next? There were a couple of options, but in the end, the Mondeo won. So yeah, here's the video. This video will contain the first, well, two generations, the MK1, MK2, and MK3. Well, yes, that's technically three, but like, the MK2 is basically just a heavy MK1 facelift. In 1986, Ford put $6 billion in a new project. They called it the World Car. Originally, the name was not even supposed to be Mondeo, it was supposed to be something else. However, I can't really find a credible source. But from what I do know, it was supposed to be a Nissan Primera type of car. However, in 1990, Ford shit their pants after they realized the Primera had released. Eventually, Ford decided that it would be a good call if they changed the design a lot. They had major revisions, including making the car body more bubbly. Ford optioned it also with front-wheel drive because rear-wheel drive is much more expensive. So we're at the trim section. I'm going to keep this very brief because there's a lot of trims. So firstly, there was the Aspen and base trim, which are basically the poverty trims. Then there's the LX and GLX, which are mid-range to low mid-range type of, trims. And there's the 24V and SI, which are just sportier versions. And then there's the Gia and Gia X, which the Gia X is just a Gia with extra power. And there was a couple of like special versions and a couple that were only offered in certain markets, but I'll include them. So there was the Mirage, which was a 1.6 Z-Tech. It was a base level trim, so basically the Aspen, just with like a shitty little engine. There was the CLX, which was just the Mirage, just slightly better equipped. Also, there was a Verona, which was equipped with a 1.0-liter engine. It was a mid-range trim. Then there's the GLX. I mean, this thing is just a CLX, once again, just rebadged. Also, there's a business edition and GT, and there's also a V6, but I'm gonna include them all as one because they're just the same thing basically. They were optioned with multiple engines except for the V6. The V6 only had the 2.5-liter V6, and it was slightly more luxurious than the other ones. But the business edition was only offered in the Netherlands and the GT2. I don't exactly know why they were sold under two different names, other than the business edition was slightly more luxurious and had a 1.6-liter too. Another cool thing about the Mondeo is that its safety was an extremely high priority for this car. It was one of the first cars sold from the beginning with a driver's side airbag, which was extremely impressive for early 90s standards, because most of them were just optional or only on certain trims. Another very cool thing about this car is that it spawned a couple of minor sister cars. Well, the Ford Contra that I mentioned earlier. The Ford Mondeo also spawned the Ford Galaxy MK1 and MK2. The Ford Mondeo was also praised because it was so versatile. Whether you were selling drugs in Guatemala, I mean giving candy to the candy dealer, speed in the school zone. But seriously though, these cars are extremely versatile. I don't know exactly how Ford managed to design such a versatile car, but whether it be you want to have fun, you want to drift, oh, you can have a SE or a GT. Oh, you want a practical car that will take you anywhere, you have this Estate. Oh, you want a car just to own it, oh, and to flex on your neighbors, you have the Saloon. Oh, and you want something that's extremely reliable. However, unfortunately, there is a slight problem. You see, unfortunately, sometimes the cars would have like extremely fragile bumpers. Eventually, by 1996, the MK1 was already pretty much outdated, and so they swiftly replaced it with the MK2, a heavily facelifted version. Mainly, most of the money went into redesigning the saloon and fixing most of the problems like cramped legroom. Also, the Ford MK2 was remarkably late to the whole new edge design language thing. However, unfortunately, in 2000, the second generation was launched. At the end of production, 2 million Ford Mondeo MK1s and MK2s, including 1.3 MK1s, and an unknown number of MK2s, but it's not specified how many, but the number is around 900,000 to 1 million. I'm not really sure. I can't really find much info. So, overall, I would rate the Ford Mondeo MK1 up 8.5 out of 10 for the hatchback, or well, the liftback, a 9 out of 10, or actually 9.5 out of 10 for the saloon, and a 9 out of 10 for the estate, or, an 8.5 for the estate. So, overall, they're great cars, and they're good budgetary cars, and they serve their purpose very well.
You need strength and beauty. You need energy, which must be harnessed to give you control. You want to be safer. You need comfort. And you want to be in harmony with your surroundings. Mondeo has it all. Beauty with inner strength. Mondeo from Ford.
Alcantara und Leder. Klimatisierte Vordersitze. Walnussholz. DVD-Navigation mit Touchscreen. Der Ford Mondeo. Dass er sicher ist, wussten Sie ja schon. Ford, besser ankommen.
In 2000, Ford launched a new Ford Mondeo. However, unfortunately, well, I'm very saddened to say this, but there are no longer Z-Tech engines. There are now Mazda engines, which were notoriously bad, by the way. They used to do this very cool thing. Wait, let me find what they did. So basically what they did is, if they failed, let's just say the whole car could, I don't know, explode. So yeah, that's a new feature, I guess. Self-destruct button. And that's a reason why people just don't like the Mondeo MK3. And there was a lot of distrust from Ford after this. Many people apparently were not gonna buy it anymore. However, Ford reassured them that this definitely will not happen again. And actually, they were correct. It never happened again, I'm pretty sure. Another extremely cool thing about this car, or, well, other than that self-destruct button that was extremely ahead of its time, there was also a new sport version called the ST220. It offered a new 3-liter monster that produced, I'm not sure how much horsepower, and I'm not bothered to look. Because listen, it's like 10 p.m. right now, my sister is sleeping, and honestly I just want to get this video out, because this generation of Mondeo is so boring. I mean, another cool fact about it is that I know a person who owns it. He says it's a cool car, and he also says that he is satisfied, and I'm pretty sure he does not have the Mazda engines. And yeah, I'm done. Like, genuinely, I cannot find something interesting to talk about this car. This car is like, it's like, it's so bland. Like, it's if tofu, it's like if tofu was a car. That's how it feels. It looks like tofu. It doesn't have those crazy design cues old Ford used to have that remind you of those like shitty old Hyundais. Remember them? The Elantra, the Coupe, the Accent. Yeah. And instead we got this piece of shit. So, yeah, good night, and I promise my next video will be way better than this. I basically had to rush this video, and I might do a retake. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, bye.